final inductee of the night, Judge Ray Pianka, the late, will be inducted by Councilman Anthony Brancatelli and will be accepted by his wife, Karen. Ward 12 Councilman Anthony Brancatelli, he's been serving since 2005 and will forever be linked with Judge Pianka for what they did and what they championed during the national foreclosure crisis 10, 11 years ago now. Yeah. Championed the fight for neighborhoods and people right here in Cleveland. He is the chairman of the Cuyahoga County Land Reutilization Corporation. That's basically the county land bank. And what they do is they turn bad properties into good. They raise dangerous structures. They replace them with new development or community gardens. He is the grandson of Polish and Italian immigrants and has been a lifelong resident of Slavic Village. Councilman.
All right, y'all ready to go home. So the Indians are winning 4-0. Francisco Lindor had a 2-run homer in Puerto Rico, so things are going well. And I want to be very clear. We're not just here for the inductees here. There's a number of great inductees. We're here for our children. We're here for the people who have to embrace our future. I am very proud to say my son thinks the world of Joe Simperman in global Cleveland. I'm very proud to say that it's not just Nora and her wife and Maeve and Sam, it's for our children. This is our future. This is what's really important to us. So I told the folks in the housing court, I'm not going to look at them because I'll start crying, but it's really important to look at what's going on in our world. It's really important for us to embrace our past and celebrate our future. So when I look at what's going on around us, I can't help but look at, the great things that are happening in our communities. I was told I only had 2 minutes to introduce our inductee, but Mr. Feliciano, you took 15 minutes. I could have done 3 versions of Light My Fire with that. And Debbie, thank you very much for the seating arrangements because you kept Chief Ripka up here, you kept Council way in the back. So we understand, the separation of both those parties. But I want to thank Council President Kelly and Councilwoman Santana for coming out tonight to celebrate with us. And Chris and Naka, thank you very much for coming out here tonight. Taiwan, Jordan, Colorado, California, now Cleveland. You've been evicted more than the housing court has ever done anybody. This is pretty amazing. So, and Rocky or not Kirk, a politician with a capital P, nothing has anything to do with that, with the Republican Party. But let's just talk about your West Side mother, Irene Morrow. She started on the East Side. She was in Slavic Village. Come on, Irene, confess up. Roberta's out there. She's going to tell you she was originally in Slavic Village, so we know where she started from. And Joe Callahan, thank you very much for your presence here today. It's very important. So it's great to be here tonight and honoring Judge Ray Pianka, and certainly for Karen and Kirsten. I can't think of anybody else more to recognize for these kind of nationality movements. And so I did prepare a speech. I usually speak off the cuff, but I said I would not break down when I was doing this. So it's with my honor that I stand here today to induct Judge Ray Pianka into the Cleveland International Hall of Fame. But I also stand here with a profound sense of sadness. Still bearing in this shock, as we all do, of his untimely passing. We're here not to mourn the loss of a great man. We're here to celebrate his accomplishments and give him the standing he deserves as an inductee in the Great Hall of Fame. I want to thank Dan and Debbie Hansen and all the board members for all of what they do for this wonderful event tonight. Ray Pianka was a model citizen who inspired us all the work that he did to boost our city, preserve our heritage, and stimulate its growth and development. As a grassroots community activist and a member of City Council, he organized neighborhood residents and fought for services and resources to keep our communities vibrant and safe. And Ray and I shared a lot of compassion and emotion around our Polish heritage. He's from Dobrowolsk, Poland, and my family's from Poznan, Poland. Despite the Brancatelli name, I am right down the middle of Polish and Italian immigrants. And Ray would always debate with me when we would argue about ward boundaries, and everybody can share their stories with us. And he said, ward boundaries? I was in a country from Poland where we were worried about country boundaries, let alone ward boundaries. But Ray was always about public service. The New York Times writer, author, and filmmaker Alex Kotlowitz described him as a humble, a student of history, courageous, empathetic, filled with a sometimes corny sense of humor, and directed by a belief that life ought to be more fair. Ray was truly a man of compassion as well as passion. He had a passion for the city of Cleveland in which he lived his entire life, and he had compassion for those less fortunate, struggling to make a living for themselves and their families. As both a private citizen and a public official, Ray certainly made an impact. Growing up on Cleveland's near west side, he showed early signs of political leadership when he became the class president of West High School. Marilyn, can you bring that little package up here? I totally forgot to bring that up. So Marilyn Mushinsky and Chris Alvarado worked very closely with Ray. Ray started at a very young age. Yeah, that's the one. Bring it up. In 1973, Ray became a founder and first executive director of Detroit Shoreway Community Development Corporation. A year later, he married his high school sweetheart, Karen Olson, and in 1985, at age 34, he became a city councilman representing the West Side neighborhoods. I had to bring this Plain Dealer article up. I'm not sure if anybody from the Plain Dealer is here. But when he was 11, he fought about trees that were fell in his neighborhood from a storm. And he wanted those trees to be put back up. And he petitioned then Councilman Zone, not Matt Zone, but his dad, to get those trees replanted in our neighborhood. Councilman Matt Zone apologized he could not make it today. But he does recognize the fact that he petitioned his dad to say, get those trees put back up, and at age 11, he got that done. So, as a member of Council's Community and Economic Development Committee, Ray championed neighborhood development and innovative ways to preserve our city's historic buildings. And to be clear, if it wasn't for Ray, the Grand Capitol Theater at Gordon Square Arcade on West 65th in Detroit would not be standing today. That building was condemned and ready for the wrecking ball. As a historian who treasured the stories and backgrounds of nearly every street and structure in the city of Cleveland, Ray could not bear the thought of the wrecking ball in full swing against that historical arcade. And I tell a story that we can tell now because he's not with us and won't get him in trouble. But he parked his van over a water vault to keep the water department from the city of Cleveland shutting the water off in that beautiful building to get those residents out of there. And he was one of those kind of folks who really stood up for the small folks. After serving 10 years in city council, Ray became Cleveland's municipal housing court judge, putting together a professional and dedicated staff to keep pressure on renegade landlords. Since 1996, he served as Cleveland's housing court judge. Ray ran up unopposed for judge in 2000, 2007, and 2013. While serving as judge, he sometimes sentenced some landlords to live in house arrest in their own dilapidated properties, and he held big international banks and mortgage companies in contempt of court if they failed to show up in hearings for their slum landlords. As municipal housing court judge, he relentlessly dogged slum landlords and took on big shot bankers involved in subprime mortgage schemes that in the 1990s were ravaging our neighborhoods. Jim Rokakis, as a member of Cleveland City Council, helped to create the housing court, said that the role was tailor-made for Judge Pianka. So between all the programs that he has, his housing clinics, landlord clinics, lead programs, rent deposits, he created a number of programs that today still stand as a model for our city programs. I do want to recognize Judge O'Leary and as many housing court folks who are here tonight. Please stand to be recognized for the great work that Judge O'Leary and all his housing courts are following under Judge Pianka. Please stand. His courage, his honesty, his vision affected positive change in our community, and we're all grateful to have been inspired by him. He once wrote, nothing that I have done or could do to serve my community is more important or more fulfilling than being housing court judge. Today, Ray still holds the distinction of being Cleveland's longest-serving housing court judge. And so I know I got 2 minutes, so I left my phone up there. But there was my last message before Ray passed away about a property in East 66 in Collier, where he called me and said, you have to do something about this property. You have to be responsible. The city has to stand up. And after he passed away, that was my one long-standing goal. I didn't get to drive the tractor to bulldoze that property, but I understood how important it was to Ray and our communities, and how it was important that we stood up for our neighborhoods. So as tough as he was, if a homeowner came in front of him with no financial means to correct the code violations, Ray took the mercy and defended it and worked to find ways to fix up the house and help the homeowner to get financially stable. Ray was truly a man of compassion as well as passion. He had the passion for the city of Cleveland in which he lived his entire life, and a compassion for those less fortunate, struggling to make a living for themselves and their families. But Ray was known for something else. He was downright passionate for history. He had an incredible mind and could seemingly tell you everything about every single property in our neighborhoods and the city as well. Ray was highly successful in historic preservationist, which I know very well, as in the many historic buildings in our community, he was constantly dogging about saying, how do we save these properties? Part of how Ray knew our community so well and the city so well was that he walked the streets. On any given day, Ray walked a number of miles, often with his wife Karen, and side by side they would walk our neighborhoods. Ray did indeed serve the community unselfishly with little fanfare. He has many awards on the good old Cleveland work ethic that built our city. I have a couple of awards that he has received over time. The 4 Eagle Awards from St. Stan's, which I'm proud to wear today. And as a Knight of Pulaski, which I'm proud to wear today. He was proud of his work, his family, and his Polish heritage. Author Alex Kopowitz wrote about Ray Pianka, he's our North Star, he's what we all should aspire to. And with that beautiful remark, I am humbly submit to you the induction of Raymond Pianka to the Cleveland International Hall of Fame and invite Karen and Kirsten Pianka to the stage.
Thank you, Councilman Brancatelli, for those touching words. We'd like to acknowledge and thank members of the Cleveland Municipal Housing Board who are here with us today. We are so sorry that my dad could not be here to accept this award. We miss his commitment to our neighborhoods, his vast knowledge of our city, and most of all, his compassion for Cleveland's people, all of Cleveland's people. We're honored to accept this award on his behalf. Thank you.